iced coffee break. You know, I used to drink 2 cups of tea in the morning, and now I've switched to 1 cup of tea and then cold brew in the morning. And am I talking really fast? Hey guys, welcome back to Handmade with me, Marianne. So, I don't know if you've noticed, but we are a little bit obsessed with the 70s this week, and I couldn't wait to bring back the lost art of punch needle embroidery. Now, I will admit, I had some dark moments when I was trying to teach myself how to punch needle. I hate it so much. I went through like the 7 stages of crafting. Like there was definite anger, stupid thing, I hate it. Denial. It's the video where Marianne quits crafting for life. But eventually acceptance. Believe it or not, I'm actually getting better at it. Quit laughing at me! And now I'm obsessed. So why don't you come along with me? Hopefully you'll have an easier time of it than I did. Let's get started. If you want to get into punch needling, here is what you'll need. Yarn in assorted colors, an embroidery hoop, strips of fabric, monk's cloth, a punch needle, a marker, scissors, and iron-on adhesive. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is wrap some strips of fabric around our embroidery hoop. Now this is optional, but it does help you get the fabric really taut, which makes it a lot easier to do your punch needling. All right, I'm just gonna grab a little bit of tape. Now grab your monk's cloth. Now I watched a lot of tutorials, and you don't have to use monk's cloth for punch needle, but the general consensus across the old internet seemed to be that this was by far the easiest fabric, especially if you're a beginner. Once you get it on there, really kind of go around all the edges and pull it as tight as possible. This is going to make it a lot easier. Now grab a marker. It doesn't really matter what color or anything because you're going to cover it up with the yarn, and go ahead and sketch out your design. I'm going with a rainbow because that felt very appropriate for 70s week. And as you can see, you don't have to be perfect with it because it's all going to get covered up with yarn. All right, so grab your threader and put it in the hole on the back of your needle, and then send it down the body of the needle, and it will come out the other end. Then take your first color of yarn and just poke that through the threader, pull it through. So the most important thing with punch needling, in my experience, is to make sure you have plenty of slack. Every time I messed up, it was because I had not left enough slack and it started pulling the threads loose. So, learn from my mistakes. I'm like even nervous, even though I have now successfully done this, I'm still nervous trying to teach you because I really struggled. Start with the tail of your thread going out the back. You kind of want the hole on the needle to be facing away from the direction you're going. Make sure you're going on the outside of your pattern so that you cover the line, and never lift your needle up off the fabric. So lift it up, drag it over, punch it in, and you can see it starts embroidering. It really is magical when it starts working. You will notice it's pretty tight on this side. That's because the side you're working on is actually the back. On the other side, you're getting the cute, like loopy effect that you really want out of punch needle. And so from here, you're just repeating that action over and over and over again. And when you get into a rhythm of it, it's really fun. Now, if you mess up, you can see here that I went a little too far. It's so easy. You just pull the stitch right out of the back. Once you get to the end of your first row, you just want to go over to the next row next to it and rotate the pattern, because you always want the hole on the needle facing away from the direction you're going. All right, once you are done with your first color, pull some slack, give it a trim, grab your threader, and again we go through the back of the needle, plenty of slack, through the threader, out through the bottom, and you're in business. Okay, moment of truth time. Ah, it's so cute. Now, if you have any loops that are kind of like sticking out a little more than you would like or whatnot, it's no big deal. Grab a toothpick and just kind of poke it through into the other side. All right, so now we're gonna take this off and turn it into a patch. And go ahead and trim up these little ends. Now you'll notice these aren't really tied off. So I'm just gonna kind of tuck them against the rest of the pattern because this is where our adhesive backing for the patch is going to go. So it will kind of lock everything into place. Okay, so we have our iron-on adhesive. You start by placing the adhesive side face down on the back of your project. Then you want to iron it on, according to the directions. For this one, it says medium heat with no steam. Now we're ironing this on before trimming it to shape because that way it's going to bond with all the edges of our monk's cloth so that it won't fray. Okay, once you have ironed the back of the patch, you'll notice this is kind of an uneven surface because our embroidery is so thick. I'm gonna use a pad of sticky notes. Use that to go right up against the edge of the patch so that you can really adhere it to the surface. All right, so once that's completely cool, we're gonna trim around the rainbow. And you really wanna trim right up to the edge so that you're not seeing the monk's cloth. You just want that adorable patch to be what we're seeing. Ta-da! Oh my gosh, it's so cute. All that's left is to put it on my jacket. I think I'm gonna put this right on the back of my jacket. I feel like that feels very, retro and appropriate for 70s week. So to attach this, peel off the paper backing. So center it up on the jacket. This one is so thick that we're actually going to pin it in place, flip it over, and iron it from the other side. Grab your iron and just keep your iron moving, but give it a few seconds. Once you feel like that's on there, let's pick it up and flip it over. And pull your pins out, kind of hidden in there. Now, if you want to make this extra secure, you can go through and give it a few stitches to really secure it to the back of your jacket, or you can use an ultra hold adhesive. But I don't know, this feels like it's pretty good and on there. And oh my gosh, are you kidding me? That is the cutest. All right guys, but I want to hear from you. Were you inspired by my punch needle journey? Because it was a journey for sure. But I mean, like all great crafts, by the end of it, I became obsessed with it and now I want to do it all the time. Let me know in the comments down below. Tell me your favorite retro craft, even if it's from 2002, I won't judge you. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Maybe in my new jacket.